Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Got a few things lined up for you today. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for joining us.
Love this little piece of paper. I like it because it has a story to it. So here's that story. So I was out in DC. It was fall, if I remember right. Yeah, pretty sure it was fall, getting close on winter. So it was cold. I wanted to take a run in Foxstone Park in Vienna, Virginia. Why? Well, we'll get to that. So this little quiet spot, it's away from the hectic beltway. It's kind of a green space in a residential area. Has little short trails, meander through the park, running alongside this little creek, Wolf Truck Creek. So here I am on my run at a medium pace, and I see this piece of paper nailed to a tree about 20 feet off the trail. And I thought, first I just thought it's probably, warning of a diseased tree or endangered species or something. So when I get closer, I see that it's much more interesting. That's right, it's that. And I knew I needed to have it. So I took it, and actually when I pulled it off, I felt like I needed to, look left and right, which I did. So why did I want to go for a run in Foxstone Park? So that story starts way before my birth. In the late 60s, Robert Hansen applied to be a cryptographer with NSA. Budget setbacks didn't let it happen at that time. But later on, he was lucky enough, he applied and became an FBI agent. So he eventually found himself working in Soviet intelligence. In 1979, Hansen goes bad, approaches the Soviet GRU, which is kind of the intelligence arm of the Soviet Empire at that time, and says he has information. So this kind of goes on as espionage does. And fast forward to 1985, Hansen sends an anonymous letter to the KGB and says he'll trade, for $100,000, he'll offer 3 names. So those names were Boris Yushkin, Valery Martinov, and Sergei Matorin, I think. So these agents were actually working with the FBI to give information. What he didn't know is that previously Aldrich Ames, I think previous in that year, had given up those names. Aldrich Ames was the CIA leaker. So fast forward, 1991, Soviet Union collapses, and he kind of thinks Hansen's like, oh, yeah, and I could get ratted out here. But he doesn't, but just to be safe, he kind of goes silent on his handlers. A little time went on, and Russia Federation takes over the spy agencies. So Robbie Boy decides to hit up his old friends, the GRU. Comrades, it's been 10 years. But he does it kind of in a precarious fashion, where he approached a GRU agent in the parking garage of the Russian embassy. Used his old code name that he had with the Russians, Ramon Garcia, but this guy's young, so he doesn't really know who he is. And he actually goes to the State Department, this agent, and turns him in as a potential triple agent. So during the 90s, U.S. intelligence kind of had a hard time getting bogged down with Ames and Hansen, and their leaks with the Russian. So 94, Ames is arrested. FBI was on to Hansen too. Partly because of a patent quote that Hansen had used. It was later picked up on a wiretap, so look that up if you're interested. So trying to get him closer to headquarters, they promote Hansen December of 2000, give him a brand new job and a brand new assistant. Assistant's name is Eric O'Neill, and little did Hansen know that Eric O'Neill was there for a reason. It's to take Robert Hansen down. through the old trusty Palm Pilot, no less. Hansen used it to store information that he would later give to the Russians. O'Neill was able to snatch it and have US or FBI agents download and decrypt the contents. And so they pretty much got him, like that's a smoking gun. But Hansen knew something was up, and probably partly due to his arrogance and just long time working with the Russians, it didn't slow him down at that point to do one more dead drop. And that's what brings us to Foxstone Park, where I found this paper was really close to where Hansen and the Russians would do their exchange with documents and money. And that little spot was underneath a bridge, upper in a dark, damp place. So that's why I was there. I just kind of want to see it. There's actually a Foxstone Park thing there. He'd put athletic tape. When he dropped something, that's how the Russians had it under surveillance. They would know that there was something there. So what's it mean that I found this paper there? Nothing. Hansen was FBI, and Ames never was known to be associated with Foxstone Park. But it is just off Highway 123, right down the way to the old neighborhood of the CIA. Ooh, interesting. Not really. So I guess there really probably isn't anything tying this and Robert Hansen in the drop, but I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I kind of like dorky stuff like that. I say that it's probably a better chance talking about a love triangle, that it's a message to some unfaithful spouses that I know who you walk with at Foxstone Park. So anyway, little items that share a story. I think that stuff's kind of cool. I'd love to hear in the comments if you have any items that have, kind of interesting story or something to them. So share in the comments below.
Ouais, cette chanson est dédicacée à tous les amoureux des végétaux végétatifs. Les brilles sont nos amis pour la vie. Les brilles sont nos amis pour la vie. So
So that was the Hall of Parts. That is what I have before me. As soon as I get my desk, I'm gonna start putting that baby together. It's been a long time since I put parts into a computer, but I know they're all compatible, and we'll see how it goes. So most people that know me would know that I'm a longtime Apple person. I've loved Apple products from when I was a child, using first Macintosh. I was lucky enough in high school we had a Mac lab, and then also from first thing I purchased on my own of Apple was, I was actually the first person in Nebraska to have a color screen iPod. That was the classic, kind of the big brick. I had an iPod Photo with 60 gigs on it, and that was massive for back then. Just the idea that the size was 60 gigs. And of course, now what we have for memory storage and the size of it. But so I loved that thing. Still works. I have it somewhere, but it does still work. And I loved the shuffles too, especially the second and fourth generation, the ones that had the little clips. So then you go on to iPhone. I was, although early adopter on the other stuff, I was kind of a late adopter of the iPhone, and I'm not sure why. I think I just got a good deal on a Motorola phone, kept me with Android, and I was always getting the betas on those. So Android is a pretty good platform. But once I got iOS, I really loved it. So I think my first was a iPhone 4, and I actually kept that all the way up until I got a 7 Plus, which which, well, something happened to the 7 Plus. So now I'm actually back on my dad's old 6 Plus, and I've joked with a couple people that I've upgraded back to a headphone jack. So yeah, the iPad 2, thing's great. It's a little slow now, but I don't keep much on it, so it's great for a lot of stuff, monitoring, taking pictures, stuff like that. And then I recently just got an iPad Pro. This thing smokes, 256 gig on it, and I love it. This thing's great. And then I did have a MacBook Pro for a little bit, but was a little older. It had a logic board issue, so I did get rid of that. I'm running an iMac 21.5 inch right now, and it works great. But so that brings me all the computer parts. It just doesn't have what it takes to run all the Adobe line like I do. Been working with a lot of 4K, so it's just not doing the trick for that. And if I had money was no issue, I would definitely be going now with the iPad or iMac Pro, or just one of the Mac Pro. They even have the iMac Pro up to 18 cores now. That's going to run you over 10 grand though. So the parts that I have for this computer, the equivalent iMac Pro for it right now would be $6,000 to $7,000, and I'm spending significantly less on this PC. And the thing about the Adobe products is that once you're in them, it doesn't matter what operating system you're on for the most part. Anyway, for at least for my level, what I'm using it for. So it's more about the Adobe products, and once I'm in them, you know, iOS or Windows, not a big deal, not for me. So I went ahead and went with the PC, and even beyond that, then I went with building my own, where I could really dial down into what parts I wanted, knowing that I use mainly Lightroom, Premiere, Audition, Illustrator, and knowing how they use the cores, how they use the memory and video processing. So that was fun picking all those parts out, and I got some good advice and tips from a few of you probably watching this. So I'm ready. I'm excited to put that together. This machine should be able to edit up to 8K.
Blah 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 blah.
So that's all I got for you guys this time, with the exception of I have the 2 license plates, the Tech Wagon 1 and 2 that you saw. And I got a couple trivia questions about last week's video. And if you get the answers to those to me, the first people to do so in the comments, I will mail you one each for each question, one of those license plates. Not a big deal now, but I full well intend to push this thing all the way out. You know, try to get up above that 100,000 mark on subscribers, and hey, you can say you were there for whatever that's worth on video number 2. So stand by for those questions. All right, first question is for Tech Wagon 1 license plate. On last week's video, I gave 3 examples of rappers that I felt are very technical and have a big hand in the production side of their music. Answer in the comments below for Tech Wagon 1 license plate. All right, for question 2, for Tech Wagon number 2 license plate, I sampled a song from the Foo Fighters. What album was that song off of? Ooh. Thank you so much for watching this video, and a special thank you to those of you who have subscribed. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe and consider hitting that little bell to get an alert every time I upload a video. You can find me on Facebook at The Real Bob Hutt, and follow me on Instagram at Popsicle Pizza. Remember to put those answers to the trivia questions down below this video, and I will get those license plates out to you if you're the first to do so. So until next time, thank you.